Hello, everyone. My name is Genevieve Chantal Volcy Ceant.
And my name is Madelein Prosperi. Hi.
Together, we are happy to make this presentation on Rodrigo Aragao's article, Beliefs and Emotions in Foreign Language Learning. Rodrigo Aragao is from the Department of Languages and Arts from the State University of Santa Cruz in Bahia, Brazil. He submitted his article for publication to Elsevier on January 15, 2011. It was accepted and it is available online at www.sciencedirect.com. The article is presented in 6 sections. After the abstract, there is an introduction followed by one section on the theoretical background. Then comes the methodology. Thereafter comes the presentation and discussion of the results, which are followed by some pedagogical reflections. The article ends with the conclusion, the acknowledgements of all the people who supported his work, 2 appendixes, and of course, the references. From the abstract, we can pull the author's guiding principle. In languages, worlds are created. Building from this quote, the paper's objective is to reflect on the relationship between emotions and beliefs in foreign language learning. To develop his reflections, the author has established 3 premises. Beliefs and emotions in language learning and in language teaching are interrelated. Beliefs and emotions can be observed in the way students conceive their classroom environment. Students disclose their feelings and core beliefs about themselves as students of English as a foreign language. The theoretical approach is based on the concepts of languaging, as he believes that students' emotions and beliefs are to be studied in a contextual approach. To support his work, he uses narrative research documents gathered from a qualitative study, as well as visual representations made by the selected students. In his introduction, Aragao is looking at students' beliefs and emotions. Aragao sees language learners as human beings and as students. Language learners are human beings who use a language and human beings who have emotions. Language learners are human beings, and as such, they are also students, but a particular type of student. They are students of a foreign language. Those students think about their lives as language learners. They also have specific feelings about the fact that they are learning a foreign language. Those students are human beings who talk about how they see themselves, what they think of themselves, how they feel and think about their situations as foreign language learners. To better explain this description, Aragao provides 2 basic definitions for those 2 major notions that are his concern in this article: emotions and beliefs. An emotion is a movement made by a human being, and beliefs indicate the directions in which human beings move in the world. Thus, in life, there is a fundamental interaction between emotions and beliefs. And this interaction plays an important role in foreign language learning. However, there is a big void in the study of affective factors or emotions in applied linguistics. In this field, there are only a few studies on this affective aspect, And there is no mention of the role of emotions and beliefs in the linguistic activities of teachers and learners. Consequently, this paper's objective is to fill the void of research on the role of beliefs in the emotional processes of teachers and learners. Aragao calls attention on four notions: students' emotions, students' situations, students' beliefs, and students' actions. First, he looks at the relationship between emotions and the situation in which those emotions are expressed. He brings forth a deeper definition of emotions as well as of beliefs. First, emotions are to be understood as bodily dispositions for situated action. That is to say that emotions are different expressions of how people react to what is happening in their environment. To illustrate this definition, he takes as examples emotions like happiness, fear, or shyness, which can be expressed differently depending on where the person moved by those emotions is at the time he's feeling those emotions. There is a transformative flow between how people express their emotions because of where they are. Depending on the situation, people feel different emotions and act accordingly. And given a particular situation, people's behavior triggers different emotions. This is what Maturana calls emotioning, this transformative flow between emotions and situation. On their part, beliefs are to be considered in relation to three concepts: cognition, discourse, and self-concept. Aragao offers three aspects of beliefs that are related to those three notions. First, he says that beliefs are dynamic and contextualized cognition that shape understandings and influence actions. Second, beliefs are articulated in discourse. Third, beliefs are different from core beliefs, which are related to a person's self-concept, emotion, and actions. From that last definition, we can see that there are basic, general, broad beliefs, and then there are core beliefs. And the main difference is that the core beliefs are deeply influence a person's self-concept, his emotions, and therefore his actions. This is to say that people's beliefs arise from knowledge gathered from the environment in which they are dwelling. Such knowledge form the basis for how they understand their situations. And that comprehension, in turn, determines their behavior. To build his argumentation, Aragao's work takes account of two emotions: embarrassment and self-esteem, which are two emotions that are influenced by beliefs which are associated with a person's self-concept. He underlines the awareness of how the importance of the awareness of how students' emotions are influenced by their beliefs, because beliefs play a role on students' self-concept in the learning environment, that is, how the students see themselves in class. By the same token, beliefs play a role on students' behavior in their learning environment. Consequently, Argyle argues that students' beliefs and emotions have an impact on their actions during languaging activities. So he states that embarrassment and self-esteem are emotions influenced by beliefs associated with a student's self-concept. And this relationship plays a fundamental role in the way students see themselves in class and how they behave in their learning environment. To evaluate his argument, Argyle posits the following research questions. One that is broadly expressed, asking, what is the interaction of beliefs and emotions in foreign language learning? He further breaks it down into two secondary questions. How can core beliefs influence emotions? And how does reflection in languaging play a role in transformative processes associated with the students' learning experiences? He supports his data with a doctoral qualitative study on the foreign language learning experiences of 3 case studies that started off with 7 students. And in his approach for this research, he presents his theoretical background, the methodological procedures he uses, and he further presents the discussion of his observation with some pedagogical and epistemological reflections in support of his conclusion. Now we're going to see the theoretical background, which is divided in 2 subsections, where he looks at first emotions in second language acquisition, and second emotions, the relationship between core beliefs and emotions. To talk about the study of emotions in SLA research. So he's talking about the review of the research. He's asking the question, why is the role of emotions in language learning not a focus point in second language acquisition? The problem is that Arago demonstrate is that the main focus of study in SLA has always been the role of cognition in language learning and teaching. In SLA theory, the views on emotions is that they are second to cognition, and emotions are even viewed as a threat to reason. And they are believed to have a detrimental effect on reason. Hence, those historical views on emotion in SLA have as a consequence the lack of interest to study the interplay between emotions and cognition based on beliefs. The scope of research on emotion in SLA has been always taking just one look at the affect, the broadly aspects of emotion, feeling, mood, or attitude, which can condition behavior and influence language learning. This is an umbrella, affect is an umbrella term for other concepts: feeling, mode, attitude, value, judgment, personality factor, learner variables. And in SLA, it's always been quantitative research that have been designed to study affect, like surveys, correlational analysis between affective factors such like anxiety, motivation, and learning outcomes. The basic argument in SLA on on affect is that it's a cause and effect relationship. There is a cause and effect relationship between affective variables and learning products. And that individualistic and product-oriented nature of learning products limit the understanding of the interaction and communication dynamics taking place in the language learning environment. Other aspects that have been studied in SLA are the role of emotions in bilingualism and the expressions of emotions in different languages. One sec, there we go. Yes. So we can see we can ask what is the author's position on emotions in this article. So contrary to what has always been said in SLA, the author is, Aragao is stating that emotions are dispositions for actions in relational dynamics. He's explaining emotions as dynamic processes which are related to beliefs and actions that can be observed in relation to the context of the classroom. The importance of the observation factor in this definition has to be underlined. Different position, that's a different position from psychological explanations that emotional process is in individual minds, bodies, or contexts, which neglect the learner's relation to the learning context. So the author is stressing the importance of the learner's relationship to the learning context, to his situation. It's important to see the linguistic distinction between emotions and feelings. Aragao is making a distinction between emotions and feelings, which are two words that people tend to use interchangeably. It says that feelings are articulated in discourse. Feelings are part of the domain of language by which people construct their worlds. They coordinate actions with other people and are able to reach self-awareness. Whereas emotions are dispositions based on people's feelings that trigger their actions. So in fact, feelings are how people reflect on their actions due to emotions based on their beliefs. So the author's stand on emotions in second language acquisition in this article is clear when he says that it is in languaging, especially, that beliefs become entangled with emotions when students reflect about the influence of their beliefs and emotions in their actions. So feelings are how people talk about the emotion that's moving them, that's making them act, and which are influenced by their beliefs. SLA interests started about 15 years ago. SLA's interest in students' language learning beliefs started about 15 years ago. And this interest came about with a research movement in the 1980s for learners' individual processes and strategies. So the author's approach in this article is that this study needs to be looked at in a contextual and discursive approach. So students' beliefs and emotions have to be looked at within their context where they at, which is the learning environment. And the discursive approach is, what do they feel? What are they expressing? What do they say they feel? What do they think about their own learning experiences? So he says that beliefs are dynamic, socially constructed, situated, paradoxical, and related to action. So belief is a way of perceiving the world that generates confidence to act upon matters accepted as true, but which may be questioned in the future. So he's quoting Dewey and Barcelos to explain this aspect of how belief actually work on emotions and how they guide people's actions. So the role of beliefs is that beliefs shape students' and teachers' perceptions, and beliefs influence students' behaviors in the classroom. And at the same time, beliefs is also resources that students use to make sense of their context and deal with it. So what students believe about themselves, what they believe about the language they're learning, what they believe about the context of where they're learning the language, all of that is important. And the role of language, because he insists on the discursive approach, is that realities are created, beliefs are constructed, and all of that is being articulated in discourse. So it's all about the role of language. Now, he's going to insist again on the difference between what would be general beliefs and the most important beliefs, which he calls, which are identified as core beliefs. So core beliefs are related to emotions and a person's identity. They are related to self-concepts, how people see themselves, and the thing about core beliefs is that they are more resistant to change. So it's like normal, regular beliefs, you can more easily change them. But if it's a core belief like embarrassment or self-esteem, it's harder to bring change on these beliefs. So he explains the concept of self because he's saying how core beliefs are related to self-concept. He defines self as an observer distinguishes its observation from itself and becomes a distinction in its own right. So the person becomes another object in relation to the others that can be articulated in discourse. So it's sort of a self-observation. The person, the self, becomes an object that the same person is looking at. So you are looking at yourself, observing yourself, and learning from yourself. So that's a process of self-observation, of self-consciousness that comes out from one's own observation. So from this observation, a new object is created in relation to the immediate context. So it's how do you see yourself in this context? So self-reflection is important in understanding your own learning beliefs, emotions, and actions. The interface of core beliefs and emotions is important when we look at the causes of self-conscious emotions. Those that are related to the core beliefs, which are linked to the self-concept. They come from experience. They emerge of beliefs about the language learner's relationship to the classroom, such as, for example, embarrassment to speak in class. It comes from the fear that classmates or the teacher is going to criticize or laugh at us, or the belief that another person is superior to oneself or oneself is inferior. So it's all about how do you see yourself? It's self-concept, self-conscious. Examples of emotions that can be related to beliefs one has about oneself and one's surrounding is things like shyness, embarrassment, pride, self-esteem, inhibition. The lack of participation in class, for example, fear of being criticized by a classmate, the belief that this classroom, I'm afraid this is a place where they pass judgment on me. The belief that somebody else is better than me. Barcelos call this idealized models. The same self-concept that allows the student to see him or herself as inferior is that they see somebody else as better able, more educated, or better speaker of English. So then they are idealized. So none of it is actually true, but it is very important because that's what's in the person's mind. The self-concept, it's hard to change. And I think from here, we're done with the theoretical review. Madelein is going to walk us through the methodological background.
Yes. So hi again. The methodological background is divided in, it would be section 3, and it's divided in 3 parts: setting, research documents and procedures, and the participants as well. The methodological background is a narrative research that expands knowledge of students' language processes through reflection on language and promotes an increase in self-esteem. Through reflection, students are able to identify beliefs, emotions, challenges, and how to deal with them. Narrating is a way to access experiences and phenomena of study, but it's also a method of researching practices. In this study, through the collection of diverse documents and individual narratives for each student, was written and systematic comparison among the participants' emotions and beliefs were drawn. Section 3.1, the setting, is divided in, can you go back one, please? Thank you. It's divided in 3 parts. The course, which was in integrated skills in English 1. This is the first contact students have with the English, in their language teacher education course. Then we have the constructive observation with the language learning experience of the students before teacher education, allowing students to recall previous learning language experiences. And then at the end is the overall goal of the course: development communication, the 4 skills at the pre-intermediate level. Thank you. Section 3.2 is the research documents and procedures. It's also divided in 3 parts. The course, which was integrated skills in English 1. This is the first contact students have made with English and their language teacher education course. The constructive observation with the language learning experience of the students before teacher education, allowing students to recall previous learning language experiences. And then we have the overall goal of the course, which is develop communication, the 4 skills as pre-intermediate level. Section 3.3, the participants. we have the research project was presented at the beginning of the semester. Out of 24 students enrolled in the class, 7 volunteered, and the study with pseudonyms of their own choice. Arwen, Solilov, Julia, Carlos, Nathy, Fairley, and Che Guevara. The following 3 were selected as case studies for this paper. Arwen, who was 21 and lived in Belo Horizonte. Of all the participants, she was the one speaking that she was shy. She did not expect to become a teacher because she was shy and believed she had to keep quiet in class. Solilov was 22 and came from the countryside. She loves singing in English and becomes a teacher in the near future. And then we